Generals, weight and balance, oral questions. If an aircraft is loaded so that the aft CG limit is exceeded, what undesirable flight characteristic is likely to result? The aircraft will be tail heavy, which could make it unable to recover from a stall or a spin. If all the records for an aircraft are missing, how would you determine the empty weight and empty weight center of gravity? The aircraft would have to be weighed, and a new weight and balance record would have to be prepared. Define tare weight and describe how it is handled when weighing an aircraft. Tare weight is the weight of anything on the scales that is not part of the aircraft. It must be subtracted from the scale weight reading to determine the net weight of the airplane. If a piece of equipment such as a radio is added to an aircraft, how can you determine the effect on the weight and balance without reweighing the aircraft? If the weight and balance records are up to date, a new weight and center of gravity location can be determined by computation. Why is control of the weight and balance of an aircraft important? To provide maximum safety. What is the datum of an aircraft and what is its function? The datum is an imaginary vertical plane at right angles to the longitudinal axis of the airplane. It is the reference point from which all horizontal measurements are taken, usually called station numbers. How do you determine the moment of an item of equipment? The weight of the item is multiplied by its arm, which is the distance between the item and the datum. What are two ways of determining the arm of an item of equipment? Measure the distance between the item and the datum, or use data supplied by the manufacturer. What should be done to obtain a positive or plus moment aft of the datum? You add weight. What should be done to obtain a negative or minus moment aft of the datum? You would remove weight. What should be done to obtain a positive plus moment forward of the datum? You would remove weight. What should be done to obtain a negative or minus moment forward of the datum? You would add weight. How does the category of an aircraft affect its loaded weight? Aircraft certified in more than one category may have two different maximum gross weights and different useful loads, such as the normal, utility, and acrobatic categories. As you prepare an aircraft for weighing, you determine that there is equipment aboard that is not permanently installed and recorded on the equipment list. What should you do with this equipment? All equipment not permanently installed on the aircraft or included in the equipment list should be removed from the aircraft. Define the term residual fuel. The fuel that remains in the tanks, lines, and engines after the system has been drained. Define the term residual oil. Oil that remains in the tanks, lines, engines after the system has been drained. How should you account for fuel when weighing an aircraft to determine weight and balance? Either drain the fuel system until only unusable fuel remains, or fill the tanks full and subtract out the weight of the usable fuel. Where are leveling instructions found, and describe one method of leveling an aircraft? Leveling instructions are found in the type certificate data sheets. An aircraft may be leveled using a spirit level at specific points, or using a plumb bob from a designated point along with a leveling scale or protractor. Define the term mean aerodynamic chord, or Mach. It is the chord line drawn through the center of the wing plan area. Describe two most common ways of describing the center of gravity location and/or range. Inches from datum, or percent of Mach. What is the purpose of an airplane loading graph? It is a method for determining how to distribute the load so as to keep the center of gravity within the allowable limits. What is ballast, and why would you use it on an aircraft? Ballast is weight added to an aircraft to bring its center of gravity into the allowable or desired range or limits. Installation of several new radios in the nose of an aircraft causes the forward center of gravity limit to be exceeded. How can you correct this problem without removing the new equipment? Ballast may be installed in the tail in order to move the center of gravity aftward. How does the center of gravity range of a helicopter compare to that of a fixed-wing airplane? Helicopters typically have a much smaller center of gravity range. You'll also have to worry about lateral center of gravity.